Thank you for tuning in to Ungentrified with Kent Johnson. Ungentrified takes an unfiltered view on pop culture, music, television and film, politics, current events, and topics central to the worldwide Black community. Ungentrified is a safe audio space for celebrating Black culture in its purest form. Thank you for joining another very special episode of Ungentrified. Of course, this is your boy Kent Johnson, and of course, I have B with me.
Hello.
And do we have some stuff to get into today?
I'm so excited.
So, last night's episode of Insecure, highlight.
Boy, were they high.
Right?
That's like an understatement.
Yeah, it is an understatement. It might be my favorite episode ever. It was just so
Really?
much. Yeah, it was so much going on. But yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and get started. All right.
So Issa ain't got no job.
Issa well, she got a job, but
I
she
mean,
ain't got
is that a job?
Yeah, she ain't got benefits. We'll say that she ain't got benefits.
True. Because Tyrese did make some good money on. My husband did make some good money on Uber and Lyft when he was driving, but he was driving Uber Black. I feel like.
Yeah, she got like a Civic, so she's not driving Uber Black.
Right, she's doing like Uber X, Uber Pool, Uber Party. Oh, she's not even doing Uber. She's doing Lyft.
She's definitely not doing a party Lyft anymore. I think she learned that lesson.
She did. She came correct this week with the plastic bag, the plastic reusable Cali bag, right? Because now we on those reusable bags and the bottle of water, which you're not really giving out bottles of water in Uber X or regular Lyft, but she was like, nah, nobody's throwing up in this car again.
Right. Yeah, so she is being a responsible Lyft driver and helping out Molly by running errands, but she was doing so selfishly because she wanted to make sure that Molly had everything clear on her schedule so that they could all be at Coachella this weekend to see Beyonce.
Beyonce or bust.
Right, Beyonce or bust. And we learned that Molly stepped it up at work trying to outdo Torian and caught herself in a predicament where she has to get a major brief done before she goes. So she almost dips out on the trip, but gets guilt-tripped into coming. And luckily,
she didn't have to do the brief.
Right,
she volunteered because she's trying
to
get on Torian's level.
Right. Yeah. So she put herself in that predicament. But they guilt tripped her into coming. She comes a little bit later. So Issa, Kelly, and Tiffany make their way up to this bomb Airbnb that they got. What kind of savings did Issa have? Even though you split that 4 ways, that's a...
Well, everybody else has a good job.
Yeah.
so you can get that good stuff and only pay a little bit if you're riding like Issa. Yeah. So and for Coachella, those Airbnbs was quite expensive.
Right. Yeah, and that joint had like a veranda, a lanai, like it had a wing. I'm sure it had a wing somewhere in that house, but it was a dope house. I almost feel like it's the house that they record the recaps in. Like it was that nice.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they stayed after to do it there. I don't know. It was a nice house though, because we go to Palm Springs every once in a while, and yes, they don't look like that.
Yeah, not at all.
They're not quite. Our pool is like the size of like it's one of those kidney bean shaped ones that that are really small. They're really called like spas or something because you can only kind of sit in them. So yeah, we don't get those kinds of Airbnbs. But hey, when you go to see Beyonce, maybe you do go ahead and shell out a couple extra bucks and do it right.
Right. Yeah. So I'm curious, like I said, to see how Issa budgeted for that house. Maybe she did the hustle where
So
she
does Kelly.
yeah, oh it's Kelly, right? Or no, they hired her as the Lyft driver up there, so she made money off of that trip. So they
Nah, she was sitting in the back seat talking shit. Remember, she was like, "Yeah, we could leave early because I don't like them. They boring."
hmm So they get up there. They got 2 hours before Molly gets there, which everybody becomes a full on adult. Tiffany takes a nap that's only gonna be 15 minutes. Kelly passes out on an edible early. She jumps into the high life very early, and
Very early,
and then Issa, I'm assuming in her boredom, fell asleep.
passed out too.
Right.
Mm.
But it gave Molly the chance to finish that brief, which I was happy for because I was like, if she didn't, it was gonna linger over her head the whole weekend. And we've all put ourselves in that situation where we were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it." And then you 5 minutes before it's due, trying to crank it out. Mm-mm.
Because you got drunk or whatever, or in their case, high,
Right.
but you partying and you just don't get to it. But you know what that part kind of reminded me of, which I felt bad for them because they're younger than us, but it made me feel like us going to Vegas in our later years, like in the last 5 to 10 years where we were like, yeah, we're gonna party. And we party that first night. And then the second night, we like, yeah, let's just
Yeah, a nice
watch some
dinner.
TV.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was their first night. So I feel extra sad for them because they're younger than we are. And that was their first night.
Right. Right. We also learned in the first part of the episode that Issa hadn't heard back from Nathan yet. She had texted him and he had been crickets. But the next morning, she gets hit up and he's like, "Hey, I found a ticket to Coachella at the last minute. I'm at the Black Hotel. Come through." So they all roll to this party and that's when things really start going downhill. And I felt like it was funny. So I was reading comments last night and this morning from people on Twitter, and people were like, "Oh, is that what we're doing now? We're doing drugs uh, on
Insecure.
Insecure." And it's like, I'm not speaking for everybody, and I'm not speaking for myself, but most of us at some point in our 30s and 20s have done some kind of drug.
Well, you know what? I knew that was going to come up too because she had gotten so much flack for the lack of condoms right before, like, oh, if you guys are having all this sex, how come you guys are not promoting safe sex? So I knew she was going to probably get dinged twice on this one from, I know we're not there yet, but from the sex with Nathan and also the drugs. Because honestly, this episode, I know it was your favorite, but I was kind of like taken out of it because I was like, ooh, I can't really relate to this, like they was going hard. And to me, I'll obviously, I'm maybe a little of a prude, but all the things that I've seen of Molly and people not looking like they having fun like them. So
Right.
I really couldn't get into that whole thing. And then also y'all don't know these dudes and y'all just taking pills out of like what looked like an Altoids case,
Right.
like
Right.
and a baggie, like a plastic baggie. I was like, you barely know Nathan. You like met him twice. And one of the times he was fighting and running for his life.
Well, both times you've broken the law with them. We do know that.
Right. So but these other dudes just came up and when Molly introduced herself and he's like, oh, I'm Percocet. Is that what we do at Molly Percocet? Like, I'm just kind of like, ooh, this whole thing kind of made me cringe, but that might be just the prude in me. So I don't know. I could see her getting dinged like a mile away when those two things happen.
Yeah, I for one have not had a Molly induced binge or a concert experience or a Molly experience, so I can't relate to that. But to me, it the episode almost ran like a PSA. It felt like a after school special, a very special episode of Insecure where they talked about the ills of, of Molly and
Of
edibles.
doing
Yeah,
drug use. Yeah.
because I think we saw like every characteristic of a symptom for Molly. Like we saw the heightened sensitivity. We saw Molly being a truth bomb and just telling
Yeah,
everything that
telling
was
way too much information.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it to me that definitely ran as a scare off for people who may have been thinking about doing it.
Like, Molly sounds really interesting. Let me try this the next time I go to, to any kind of music fest. No.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was thinking about it, like after, I was like, this was kind of like watching like a 30-minute version of The Hangover, only at the end of The Hangover, I felt like more stuff was resolved and like it was more calm and they reflected on what happened and how that was like, it went too far. It's just kind of like, oh, we woke up the next day and we moving on. Like
Yeah.
it just was, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a lot. But in all of that, in that Molly kind of moment, Issa kind of had a vulnerable moment where she was just talking about like how afraid she was about quitting her job, and I think that would be something that resonated with a lot of people. Definitely resonated with me, where you just don't know. You have an idea of what you want to be next, but you have no idea what's going to be next,
Mm-hmm.
and then you feel like you do have to put on for folks, like that you're actually doing something, and it's scary. It's scary as hell. So I did appreciate like that kind of take back from it, where her truth bomb was kind of telling how she really felt about her situation, and thanking Nathan for kind of giving her the courage to do so. But
Mm-hmm.
she thanked him in more ways than one.
I mean, he said, "Show me."
Yeah. Uh,
I knew that was going to happen. Like, as soon as they said, "Oh, let's go get some water," I mean, in my mind, I thought it was going to be a lot more raunchy than that. Like, I was thinking they about to be on the side of a tent or something. But I knew from the moment that he rubbed up on her arm at the pool, I was like, "Oh, they gonna do it."
yeah.
So I
And
definitely wasn't surprised when they got on that Ferris wheel that they didn't get freaky.
and did it they did. I saw titty ball in the mouth. I saw
Yeah,
panties
slide to the side.
slide to the side,
Had
and
a like a drunken love moment, a Jay-Z drunken love. Slide the panties to the side.
yeah, it was a lot. And then it brought up, like you said, the flack that the show creators got last year about not showing condoms in the show. But I mean, really, she's on edibles and Molly at this point in the game. Could we really expect her to be making rational decisions at this point? So
Right. Yeah, that's a good rebuttal to that.
yeah. And if hey, we may see her deal with that consequence later on. Who knows? But yeah, I when I saw it like you, I was like, ooh, people gonna be up in arms about that, and
Hmm.
but they know that they knew that when they wrote this episode. It wasn't a surprise. Um, the highlight of the episode was Kelly getting to run amok through this whole episode.
She was
Uh,
crazy.
she was crazy. Uh, and tasered. And I learned a new term, tase rage. I didn't know that was a thing.
You know what? If I was her, I probably would have ran back for Beyonce too. And I'm not even a stand like that. Like, if you are Beyonce or bust, and y'all get y'all spots on the field, y'all high drunk, spent your whole day. You drove 2.5 hours, and it was not 2 hours, Molly, but y'all drove probably 3 hours to get there. And for it to be coming right up and you hear the crowd and you hear the music go, I probably would have ran for that gate too.
Because at that point, what do you have to lose?
You do,
Like,
right? Like, I'm going for it. And she lost her bladder,
yeah.
control of her bladder. She was like, remember me different.
Yes, that was my favorite line from the episode.
Yes.
I was like, yeah,
Well, that, and also when they had first taken the edibles, and she was like, "I'ma fuck him, I'ma fuck her," and it was like, "Dang!" And she was like, Janelle Monáe made it all right. Who am I fucking tonight?" Like, I was like, "Oh my god."
yeah, it was it was heaven for Kelly,
Yeah,
and that in turn was heaven for me because I was cracking up the whole
I was
episode with
too.
her.
Even when she was laughing to herself, and she's like, "Who's laughing?" She was like, "Shut up,
It's
it's
you.
you." I love Kelly.
Uh, another person who had me cracking up was Tiffany because it was like we all know that person who's super super informed about everything, like all of the exits are here. We must stay here, stay as a group, the signal's not working. Like,
Well, she's also in mommy mode too, right?
right.
Like, she doesn't even know it, but she's going through all the things that you go through as a first time parent, and then also the first out of your group parent. So she went through a range of emotions and was able to kind of, let that truth bomb come out on, with Issa there at the end of the episode, where she was like, she had spun out she spun out of control because she let the peer pressure get to her for even like coming out pregnant. Like, if you saw a pregnant person at Coachella like that, or at the club or whatever, you talk about them. But I've gone to the club pregnant as well for my friend's birthday. I was like, I'm not missing no birthday parties. Like, I'm not drinking, but I'm not missing no parties. But then, Issa got her to drink the rosé, even though I don't know why they doing shots of rosé. And then she took a bite of that weed brownie because she was like, I want to be down. Like, I want to still be involved. They having so much fun without me. And it does suck to be the sober pregnant person when everybody else is. I've not ever been around people that messed up, but just in general, like, everybody's drinking and having a great time, and you're drinking water, you're going through that. And she doesn't want to, no longer be a part of the group, but she knows that her life is about to change.
Yeah.
So she went through a range of emotions and then was able at the end to just flat out say, look, I know things are about to change. And even though I don't like it is what it is. And I've been fighting it, but I just gotta acclimate and do what I gotta do for me and the baby. So
Yeah.
it happens.
And, and see, I saw it differently. When they took the rosé, it almost looked like she made a fake drink. Like she just lifted the glass up and then set it to the side. But so I took it that experience that way because she was around them. So she had to, be
Perpetrate.
Tiffany. Yeah. But when she was alone, the one chance when she was alone, she took a bite of that weed brownie because she wanted to catch up with them whenever they were going to come back. So she wasn't going to admit to it to them. She wasn't going to do that in front of them, but she
Mm-hmm.
still wanted to be a part. And yeah, like she when she and Issa have that moment in the car where they go to get water, and she's kind of like, yeah, I hope so. When Issa's trying to like console her and be like, oh no, it's gonna be cool, don't worry. And it's kind of like she's almost already given up. Like she knows that things are going to be different. And it brings me back to earlier episodes when we were talking about this, where we were like, this is going to be like her moment trying to figure out how she handles what she wanted all along, which was baby. She always
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a mother of sorts, and she's always been that kind of looking down
Maternal
on that.
figure.
Yeah. So now she got it, and she'll know how to deal with that. Um,
But it's true. I mean, she probably has maybe seen other people. I mean, I wasn't the first person that I knew that had a baby, but you do lose friends. Um, you do lose friends. So I think she knows that, like, none of them have kids. We're not going to be doing play dates. They're not going to want me to bring my baby to Coachella next year or, whatever. Like you miss out on a lot of things. I mean, thankfully, I think we're lucky that our parents are right around the corner. So we often still are able to do things. But, if you're the first one married, the marriage is one thing, but you still can hang out. You can still do your thing. But once you have a baby, it's like, oh, I can't. I gotta like pump. I gotta be home. I can't drink as much. I have to do daycares and play dates and birthday parties. It's just not the same. And she knows it. And I think that like I said in the beginning, she was already halfway on the outside.
Hmm.
I think she's just more sensitive to seeing how much on the outside she is now. And that's okay. Like, maybe she'll, next time we see her, she gonna be with a bunch of bougie, bougie mamas doing play dates, doing Beyonce birthday parties.
Right. Yeah. I'm a pin that, and we're gonna come back to that when we have predictions for
Okay.
the next episode. But I
Okay.
did appreciate how the wee baby came full circle, and she was crying in the closet to Derek, who we hadn't heard a peep of the entire
Mm-hmm.
season. Um, about the fact that it was still their little weed baby. She kept true to that.
Uh-huh.
But you sped us up to the end. So Issa and Tiffany go to, I think, the 7-Eleven to go get water. Uh, Tiffany stays in the car after they had that conversation about, her feeling different about the baby and her just trying to be down for the last little moments that she could. So Issa goes into the store alone and sees somebody that she knows. Uh, well, no, actually, somebody sees her that she
Mm-hmm.
knows, and it turns out to be Chad, who gave his signature straw slur.
That was a judgy straw slurp too.
Right, like he could see the Molly and smell the
Coming out her
edible.
pores.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And you know what? Let me just kind of pause this real quick. This is the one thing that I don't like about us not watching it at the same time because you had me all excited. I was like, "Oh, Beyonce gonna be coming in to get a bottle of water. She gonna turn around and Beyonce gonna hand her a lotto ticket or something." Because she was like, "Oh, did you see this episode yet?" Like I was all excited. I mean, granted, the payoff was great, but I was like anticipating, like, "Oh my gosh, what's about to happen?"
Oh yeah, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm going through our text messages, but I sent exclamation points and was like, "That's all I'm gonna say." And then you asked me, "Was it Beyonce?" And I was like, "Yo, that's all I'm gonna say." And then I told you to remove yourself from all social media outlets until you watched, because I hate social media during stuff like this
Yeah.
because they
Mhm.
so ready to ruin it. Look, somebody ruined the Power finale for me yesterday
Oh
on
yeah, I
Facebook.
know. Me
I'm
too.
I'm like a couple seasons behind, but I'm just like, really?
Right, I didn't watch the whole season, but I still was like, I mean,
Right.
can I
It
be
is
surprised?
it is 11 a.m. on a Sunday, and you ruining stuff for people. People take joy in that, and I can't stand those people. So I didn't want you to fall victim to a spoiler.
No, but so when it happened, I was laying next to my son who was asleep. I finally got him to sleep, and I was like thinking that I was silent screaming, and he woke up and he was like, "That's okay, mommy. Like you're so happy right now." That's how much it meant to me.
And why were you happy? Tell the people why you were happy.
Oh my goodness, because Lawrence is back. I'm so excited. I told you he was coming back.
You did say that. You did say that. We should have put money on that. You would have won. You said that Lawrence was coming back.
It just
So
doesn't make any sense because they have friends in common. So you're gonna have to, even if, you don't get back together, they were gonna have to run into each other eventually.
yeah,
I didn't know they were gonna run into each other at Coachella. Because what was Chad doing at Coachella? Because he had bracelets on too.
right. Well, that just lets you know that Beyonce brings out all of the black people to Coachella, apparently.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Except for us.
Except for us. But I ain't paying no Airbnb price in that. But and thank thank you, Beyonce, for putting it on available for stream for us that couldn't
Right?
make it, so that we could partake in
I did.
halftime with the rest
So I
of
could
the
try to
folks.
learn the dance and be upset at my 4 year old baby body against her 22nd baby body. It's cool.
Yeah, so Lawrence is back, and not just for no cameo. Like we see the previews
Mm-mm.
for the next episode, and he got a storyline. Like he back.
Hmm. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. And I thought it was so funny that, speaking of coming out of Issa's pores, she still had Nathan Essence on her running into her
Right,
ex. Like that is, I think, the funniest thing that I thought of, I don't know if it's funny, but was the running into your ex sucks in general. You want to always be like top of the game. You know, you looking your best, you doing your best. And the juxtaposition of Nathan being in her life right now and Lawrence being in her life again right now is like Nathan's pumping her up. You know, follow your dreams. Quit your job is fine. Like you'll come out on top. Whereas I'm curious to see how Lawrence takes this information, like if she is honest with him, like, I don't have a gig right now, I'm trying to follow my dreams, because the last time she cheated on him because he was following his dreams, staying at home doing nothing, and now he has a career and looking good and probably smelling good. So I'm curious to see her in the middle of these two polar opposites. I don't know if Lawrence is gonna be telling her to chase her dream, or is he gonna be like, I got out when I at a right time.
right. Yeah, and in the next episode, the title is "Ready Like," and that could be interpreted in a whole bunch of different ways because it looks like just from the previews that Tiffany's baby shower is next. So it could be ready for her in the sense that I understand that things are going to be different, and I'm preparing for motherhood. So her getting ready for that.
Hmm.
For Lawrence now being reintroduced, it could be like him telling Issa, like, I'm ready to be the man that you needed me to be rather, back then. Um, we also see Dro is in the next episode. I think everybody,
Hmm.
we clearly see that since, like you said, they all have mutual friends. Everybody's going to be at this baby shower. Uh, so if Molly's going to be put to task to see if she's actually ready to be done with Dro because that's the
His
true
wife is
test,
probably there too.
right?
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. Like the ready, like it could be Lauren saying, I'm ready to give this another try, or see what's going on with this. And I mean, she got a new boo, so we'll see what happens. I mean, the new boo is pushing her in the direction that she probably should be on right now. She probably wants to be on right now. Um, so I don't know, if it's always hard going backwards in a relationship, especially when there's like cheating and whatever else, like negative things happening, especially if you're trying to move forward. So I don't, as much as I love Lawrence and I would love for them to be together, I kind of feel like Nathan is where she needs to be right now just to keep progressing forward. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Nathan did give us a little bit of insight to himself. He said that he goes hard in relationships. So
Hmm.
that could mean a whole bunch of things. But we do know that once she gave him some of that Ferris wheel snapper, he was responding to them texts and texting right back. Hey, you
He was
home?
checking on her.
Right. Hey,
Hey, boo.
right. How the girls doing? They all right? Oh, okay. Yeah. So he hook, line, and sinker. She didn't got that on deck, but yeah, this opens
But
up.
you know what? Like he said too, he was like, I wasn't missing no text messages. And when you look at the phone from when she was checking to see if he had texted her, he texted her first, and then she just texts back an emoji. Like if someone like talks to you or like says something to you and you only text back an emoji, I mean, it's really the ball is still in your court.
Right, right,
So she was really the one who wasn't like she was trying to play all coy with him. So they need to get their stuff together. Although, does she really want to be with a guy who's like passing out Molly? I don't know.
right. Yeah. Who knows?
This is like the third, what did she say, felonious act. The third time they seeing each other, and they having sex in public, they doing drugs. I don't know that he's probably the right person to settle down with. But I do think that, he's opening up that adventurous side of her, and like that go after what you want side. And so, people come into your life, the saying,
Reason in season.
recencies or a lifetime. Hello, I'm your lifetime. So, so we'll see. Maybe it's just like this is who she needs in her life right now, and then maybe Lawrence will be the lifetime. You never know.
Yes. So, in closing, y'all can stop complaining. Lawrence is back, at least for the next episode. Uh,
No, he's back.
he's
I'm
back.
willing it.
But in even better news, Chad is back. So, um, hopefully, we get a Chad like episode like Kelly got this episode of Coachella. But
Oh my goodness.
we got a lot to look forward to. We got what 2, 3 episodes left, 6, 7, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, make sure that you tune in to us next Monday, where we'll be as long as life doesn't get in the way, and we'll be recapping next Sunday's episode of Ready Like on Insecure. Of course, you can follow the podcast. We do other things and then talk about Insecure on the podcast.
I don't, but
Yeah, right. She's only on for the very special episodes, but I talk about other stuff. So check me out. I also drop episodes weekly every Wednesday. You can follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at UNGENTRIFIED Pod, and you can find out more about the podcast on the website, ungentrifiedpodcast.com. Of course, you can find me, your host, on Instagram and Twitter as well at Kent W. Johnson. Thanks, B, of course, for coming on and laughing with me. And thanks, you guys, for listening to us laugh for 30 minutes about the foolery that went on last night's episode. And we'll
don't
see.
do drugs.
Yes, don't do drugs, kids, and
Dare to
adults.
say no.
Because apparently adults can't be adults when somebody on TV does something. They just have to do it, apparently.
Yeah,
So-
like, oh, that looked interesting.
right. Yeah, don't do drugs, folks. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye.